Game number 1 in today's match, everyone. Division 7 once again reporting for duty. Fools and Heroes go up against the proper lads. I kind of assume that we are talking about a British team in red here, unless that is a reference that I don't get, but that sounds very British to me. And we are continuing with bans on the front line. So again, Division 7 obviously being the lower ranks of Heroes launch. Usually when we're looking at MMR, the average is out roughly between silver and gold, just to give you guys a bit of an idea. But it's average MMR that really counts for the ranking of the teams. And these two teams are actually pretty close to each other in Division 7, so we can hope for a close match. And what is this? Meta bans are coming through. Oh my god. We have a Tyrande ban. First of all, no more interrupts on the channel, and then of course when you have any kind of Diablo Mirrodin set up together with her, can go for a bit of a quick kill. I'm liking this already. Fools and Heroes, putting some thought into that draft. I'm amazed. Question still remaining is, are we gonna have... Ah, come on! Alright, at least Brightwing is not gonna be played. That's a win in my book if you ask me. Again, she is a global, she can offset the solo lane at the top a little bit. In proper terms, we would call that a wasted ban, but at the same time, they are maybe afraid of the macro game, so I can get that. Brightwing and Lucio, they don't really count as heroes in Heroes of the Storm. There was a new patch that classified them as oversized minions. That was a little bit closer to home. Blizzard said, well, we're not quite happy with the classification and the roles that some of our characters, our heroes have. So now we brought a new one in, and it's called Oversized Minions, and it contains Brightwing and Lucio. This is a decision that the development team made that I completely endorse and totally didn't make up. Mal'Ganis is being banned out, and I mean, with the Mal'Ganis ban, that just is a consistent thing, but the Diablo first pick, and we are really going into a bit of a meta game, aren't we? Like, at least the teams are drafting so far very standard, but let's wait for the rest, I assume. We've been burned before. Blaze and Reyna, look at this. This is actually looking strong. Blaze for the offlane, okay. It's not quite the Haka that can tunnel in with a global, but at the same time, you have good wave clear. Oh, like... The way these guys are drafting, I'm actually wondering if we're going to get a bunker blaze instead of a combustion blaze. That's currently my biggest question here. And Reyna early on in the draft is also like a pretty good choice here. Alright, Leoric is going to take it up against Blaze up at the top lane. Deckard Cain comes in together with Diablo. With this old school comp in HGC with Diablo, Deckard Cain and a Urel that basically never lost because that trio was more or less unkillable. But right now, still pretty solid drafting. I hope that Leoric has the Janitor skin. It's like the most important thing of all. The Janitor skin is absolutely fantastic. Kel'Thas ban. Alright, this is a little bit more Division 7. This is more what we're used to. This is what we normally see. And what are we going to have as the third and last ban on the side of the proper lads? What are you going to get rid of? Could drop one of the frontliners again. Maybe get rid of Mirrodin. Yep, there we go. Get rid of Mirrodin, could have banned out Johanna here if you're more worried about wave clear in the middle, but Mirrodin, of course, in Dragonshire is quite often seen, even on the pro level. We saw him appear there a lot, even when he wasn't quite in the meta, just because you can really just like jump in onto the lane, get a quick Stormbolt in, there's a lot of bushes to work with. There we go. Falstad comes in. Alright, a bit of a global that we have. We have seen a lot of hinterland blasts lately. Very, very few wind tunnels or gusts. Johanna comes in as Mirrodin is banned out, so that's the wave clear in the mid lane as well. Can have a rotation happening here. Falstad can fly to the top lane to try and put Leoric under a little bit of pressure. Always assuming there's going to be a Blaze Leoric match between the two of them. But a pretty well-rounded draft for the red team. They're missing a support. So let's hope they don't misclick Lucio and actually take a support. Jaina for the burst, and Hanzo comes in too. This is looking more meta than a lot of the games that we've seen in the previous few days. So I'm excited to see if the builds and the playstyle are going to reflect that too. Maybe they fooled me and this isn't really Division 7, but we're casting the new Division S already. But I don't think the qualifiers have started yet, so what do I know? Okay, so last pick. What's it going to be? You have so many choices. Only one wrong one at this point. Nice! Stukov, I'm liking it. Alright, stun into a quick silence with a lurking arm. And we're looking at a pretty solid first game. I'm impressed. I'm honestly impressed. The draft looks good. Falstad is maybe a little bit off here, but again, the global that he provides in Dragonshire can do a lot if you play your cards right. Not quite the hero I would have gone for, but I'll take it. Let's jump in. Game number 1. Game number 1, everybody. Genji Benji on Blaze for Fools and Heroes. We have Artorios on Johanna, Audi Job on Reyna, Jack Rip on Falstad, and Rainlight on Stukov. And over to the right side, the proper lads with Spotter on Jaina, Beta Max on Deckard. Very, very important. Don't confuse him with his brother Alpha Max. He's a little bit stronger and bigger, but yeah, Beta Max is playing today on Deckard Kane. Patch on Diablo. And Factigumi on Leoric with Tori on Hanzo. Alright, I'm ready. Let's see what we've got here for game number 1. Who's going to take it? And let's double check Leoric real quickly. What skin do we have? Oh, I'm not quite sure if I can let that count. That is a normal Leoric skin, if I see that correctly, with a Space Leoric bike. I mean, there's so many mistakes here that I don't even know. Can you have the mount without the Space Leoric skin? Whatever happened, Leoric has screwed up a little bit. I wanted the that Janitor skin. Not quite sure if you heard that joke already, but like I've read it once and I thought it was amazing. You know the reason why Janitor Leoric finally made it into the game? Because Blizzard needed the closet for the remaining Heroes development team, so they had to get the Janitor out of the Janitor's closet. That's how that worked. Rainlight goes down on Stukov, so first blood already secured, and Falstad actually made it to the top lane. So we don't have Blaze there. Instead, we have Falstad for now trying to get a couple of stacks on his season marksman. We have also the ace in the hole already taken. Down to the bottom of the map, Blaze is trying to hold another solo lane, but he's already getting ganked. He stayed a little bit long, and he's hiding in the... No way. Is he actually going to get away from this? Nah, there's no way he's going to escape. Alright, body blocks, and they just can't kill him. Look at them. Jaina even going in with the body blocks, and he just walks away. Can't kill Blaze, and instead they nearly lose too, as everybody just like walks away from this. It was like one of the weirdest fights that I've seen in a long while here, but yeah, not a single kill. Not one. A little bit unfortunate, I would say, for the red team, because the gank itself was actually well executed, but it didn't quite work out the way that they were hoping for. Now, Spotter is still getting that damage in, and I mean, Genji Benji already had to tap the fountain, so he needs to be a bit careful with his hit points. Shrine to the bottom of the map, already secured, up to the top. Falstad is currently doing his thing. And Falstad against Leoric is also going to be a little bit of a weird one. It's always annoying when you are a melee character and you're going up against a ranged hero. But then again, if he plays his cards right, gets a good drain off. Now here, again, one thing that you guys should for the future remember. If you're going up against any hero as Leoric, you want to go... Oh, taking a little bit of lot of damage there. You want to go for a skeleton swing first normally, so that you slow your opponent down, and then you go for the drain attempt, because it makes it much easier for you to land your drain hope. If you just throw the drain hope out, the chances are that it's going to be dodged, and then you are very cooldown dependent on it. Because drain hope is basically the biggest tool that you have to have the lane sustain, so definitely something to watch out for if you guys have never really done that as a Leoric player. And Leoric actually comes back just in time together with Hanzo, who moved up top to soak all of the experience. Jack Rip even has to move away from this one. We're still seeing Jaina taking a camp here. I mean, Division 7, if we've learned anything, it's that taking camps is important. Screw objectives, you don't need that shit. As long as you can get a camp in the meantime, you are set. And both of the teams are currently going for Siege Giants. Especially Jaina, once that we have a couple of additional talents in the mix, is pretty good for to take camps or have wave clear in general. Like, she can pretty quickly take a small camp without a problem whatsoever. And down here to the bottom, Genji Benji needs to be a bit careful on this place. We have both teams now moving in with Siege Giants. Jaina is making her way back in too, but we have a pretty big push in the middle happening, where Hanzo alone is trying to hold down the fort, but it's not quite possible for him. Audi Job and Artorios are doing a lot of work here. And in terms of builds, I mean, we have the Season Marksman build for Falstad that should in the long run prove to be really effective against Diablo, depending on how long the match goes and how many stacks he can get. But outside of that, when we look at the builds, I mean, we have a couple of adjustments. We have the Rejuvenation Potion, and we have it random Dragonite that is being taken. Alright, apparently no one was guarding the middle. As I was looking at the talents, then Leoric gets taken out the top. I guess that's where the blue team went. They all rotated topside and let them just take the Dragonite middle. Okay, didn't quite expect that, but fair enough. Who needs the Dragonite? They got a kill against Leoric that's nearly worth the same, right? Okay, so the first adjustments that we have in builds, and I've been talking about this in the past few days already, so Gonna repeat myself here. But for Reyna, first of all, you really don't want to go into the sustaining rounds necessarily on the level 4. Fight or Flight is just such a great talent and way better. Behemoth Armor also has its advantages if you want to go into that. Sustaining rounds don't really give you a whole lot during the team fights, and you shouldn't really be in a position where you have to solo lane anyway, so you should really believe in your healer here. And another talent that we're seeing, which is a little bit awkward, is the level 7 on the side of Falstad, secret weapon. So basically, right now, it's like, the idea of him is like, hey, full auto attack build. I get hammer gains, I get seasoned marksman, and then I go into the extra damage on level 7 too. But it takes a lot of the wave clear that you have away. Basically, you don't have any. Oh, Blaze! Wow, barely getting out of there, able to escape. They were trying to follow it up on Johanna, but couldn't either. But yeah, for Falstad, you want to have Boomerang no matter what. It's like the thing, because if you have Boomerang, you can basically explode those backline minions nearly instantly. And it really helps you to farm for Seasoned Marksman, and you don't get that much out of the talent that was taken out by Jack Rip on level 7 in a team fight anyway, so it doesn't really help you too much. Boomerang is really good for a bit of burst damage if you try to confirm a kill. It's great to farm more for your Seasoned Marksman, so definitely an adjustment that you should make. Level 4 is always a little bit debatable. We had Hazops, for example, for a long time take updraft because he wanted to be a bit more flexible with his positioning for Mighty Gust, so that he can take 2. But Hammer Gains is definitely fine and gives you also sustain that you oftentimes need here. With that being said, we're having now both of the teams aiming onto level 10. We don't really have any massive advantages yet. That early Dragon Knight did a bit of damage, but didn't really do all that much. And for the time being, we can also take a quick look at the Drain Momentum. Now, this is a talent that we're actually seeing a lot in Division 7, and I absolutely don't know why. It's just about the movement speed. It doesn't really help you too much. Hopelessness is usually the choice that we're seeing here, and it's pretty fantastic. And I don't think you need anything else, especially for later team fights. And as predicted, the shock and awe on Falstad. This is just one of those things where in Division 7 you don't see a lot of these utility plays, therefore Mighty Gust doesn't get quite that much value. And instead we're getting the Hinterland Blast and Combustion. Okay. I was a little bit too positively charged here when I saw that early Blaze pick, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna take Bunker. But of course I'm wrong, they take Combustion. And, well, with Combustion plus the Hinterland Blast, you might be able to set something up here. On the other side we have that Entomb. Arrow comes out. Hans was a little bit too close, so doesn't get a full stun through. But Jaina attempts to follow it up against Rainlight. And here comes the Entomb, the immediate shove, but Spotter is in range, and so is Tori. And the Jaina-Hanzo duo take down Stukov. Here comes the Combustion. Falstad not flying down, still busy up at the top, fighting for his own shrine. They were trying to set maybe a bit of a kill here up, but Johanna now comes in with a Blessed Shield. But there's just not really a follow-up left anymore. So that was a bit of a random ult that got thrown out here. When you throw the heroic ability, you always need to ask yourself, what am I getting out of this? Can I actually do something here? Alright, Patch and Jack Rip go up against each other, and Falstad seems to win that battle quite handily for now. Didn't even use the Hinterland Blast just yet. I was for a second thinking he might try and confirm a kill here. But it wasn't quite the case, especially since he was still a bit low. And now Hanzo comes in, rotation is there, and Jack Rip is underestimating the situation a little bit, if you ask me. Oh! Oh boy, no he doesn't. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's completely wrecking Hanzo. Get fucked. Amazing. Gets barely away, turns around, and spot on with a hit. Look at him. What a god. That was actually fantastic. What a god. The homing missile right there gets sniped, and bam, now they have the Dragon Knight as a result. Falstad with a place. This is actually insane. Oh, it's funny as hell. I like that. Alright, so now they're trying to go up with the Dragon Knight. Still straight in for the next fort. And that's the first fort of the game, actually. The bottom one has taken damage earlier, but it never fell. So now we're having the first fort, and therefore the first catapults. Ring comes out. Oh! The Entomb, the Ring, and the Lightning Breath get roasted. They are obliterating Reyna and Stukov. Stukov has been a huge punching bag in this game so far, and Jack Rip is in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. He should fall for sure. There's no way. Yeah, the bird goes down. They got the fort, so they have catapults at least, but they lost 3 heroes in the process. That was pretty brutal. They might even lose the fourth one. Not quite. Artanis is able to move away from this one. Hanzo is back and tries to redeem himself for that death at the top lane against the Hinterland Blast, which is, by the way, going to be back up on off cooldown in just a second. Massive engage at the bot lane right now. 5-man commitment even. Not caring about any of the experience on the other lanes and instead just pushing for the 4 to take that down and spawn a few catapults, and that's exactly what's happening. So they get that. Falstad is back to business. Did he just fly in for that? It's a pretty short flight and a pretty big cooldown to be burned for that, but okay. The Falstad flies in for it. Let's have a quick look actually at his stacks. Falstad is currently sitting at 25 stacks. We'll still have to go a long way to get the full talent completion. But again, auto attacks are gonna hurt, and especially with the Giant Killer now as his level 13 choice. Good choice against Diablo. We're gonna see him get quite a bit of auto attack damage against Dibbles in those big fights later on. And when it comes to the damage output, already Falstad sitting at 31k. Compare that to Reyna right now. Falstad has definitely farmed a lot of damage in those little skirmishes that he had at the top lane against those tanks, and he's going to continue this. Jack Rip is ripping them apart. On the other side, then Jaina and Hanzo doing most of the work for the other team. But as we said before, Stukov in particular is suffering a little bit. Alright, double checking if the camp is taken down at the bottom of the map. That's not quite the case, but both of the teams are having a closer look. Artorios is there. I was just waiting for the Blessed Shield, to be honest with you. I mean, if you get a good setup, then Falstad can always follow that up with a good Hinterland Blast. Talking Hinterland Blast. Yep. And he misses completely this time. But then again, he didn't want to attack Leoric. He wanted to damage the tower a little bit. And that worked, so I would call that a success. He succeeded in what he wanted to do. Arrow comes in from the bot lane, though. Tori is trying to set something up. And now Diablo, Leoric falls after all at the top lane. The fight at the bottom of the map is still continuing over the second temple, though. And right now, with both of the teams, there's 3 kills against 5, 15 versus 15. It looks like we're having a split on the shrines. But it's a 4 versus 3 now bot side, because Hanzo has moved up to the top. And that means they're going to easily claim that. I'm not quite sure why he flies down right now. It's very little to do for him. But he gets some damage in against Diablo. Not quite enough, but the turnaround attempt. And that could be a kill against Blaze. Diablo went too deep, though. Loses his souls and dies. If you are in a 3 versus 5, I can only recommend from the bottom of my heart that you do not re-engage into that fight. We had Leoric and also Hanzo both missing. That's not a battle you want to take if you can avoid it. Might be a battle that at some point you're going to be forced into, but it's not something you should volunteer for. So, yeah, that didn't quite work out, especially after the Falstad fly, and that was a clear sign to just back off there. Talking Falstad, he is getting healed here by Rainlight, but we have now that rotation to the bottom. Leoric tries to get the Dragon Knight and barely doesn't get it because of Johanna at the top of the map. Tori just couldn't hold this long enough. But still, Leoric is threatening it quite heavily. And now we're having also Reyna and Falstad making an appearance in the middle of the map. Bottom lane, that's a different story now, though. This is where the red team still holds on strong. Here comes Jack Rip again. Jet propulsion misses. The ring comes out, and oh, they get toasted again. A little song of ice and fire that we have there. Every single time the ring comes through, and then Diablo turns around and burns them to a crisp. Tim would call it a crispy taco, and indeed is. Now Oddjob is attempting to prevent the Dragon Knight from being taken, and so far he's golden. Oddjob, on the other hand, is in trouble, and that's another death. Reyna dies, and now the red team is starting to slowly and steadily get ahead here. Tori at the top is still dealing with Johanna, but the problem is friends are coming, and Johanna's pretty much alone there. One Iron Skin is not going to be enough to save you. Maybe with Stukov's help she can escape, and yep, that's the case. Gets the speed, actually, thanks to Stukov, and is therefore able to move away. And on top of that, is able to also... Oh, sorry, the Fanaticism gave her the speed. And is also able... I would have expected a shove, to be honest. Like, I thought a shove would have been there. So there were a couple of options that they had. But another Dragon Knight is being taken. Falstad flew down to the bottom of the map and was trying to take the shrine. Couldn't do that in time. So now we're having the middle being assailed there right away. And they're not doing too bad, to be honest, at this point. I mean, Hanzo is still topside, so I think he could slowly make his way into the middle, and that's exactly what he's doing at this point. But they need to take down a little bit more in an ideal world. Taking the fort down is already a win, but if you can get a bit more out of that, it would be fantastic. And currently it seems they're looking towards the bottom of the map. And the keep, Diablo is again isolated though. Stale while Listen comes too late. The Ring of Frost is in, but there's no follow-up this time. The damage, unfortunately for them, a little bit overlapped. The Dragonite was already busy at the bottom. Here comes the... Oh my god, Jaina! Jaina got just wrecked. Everything just unloaded on her. Falstad even barreling in, saying, yeah, we got this. So now the Dragonite is still on the move, trying to escape here. I mean, Leoric should be fine, to be honest. Why doesn't he turn around? Let's get a couple of fire breaths in here. Like, burn them down a little bit. Apparently he just wants to take that Dragonite for a walk. I'm walking. I'm walking. I'm not quite sure where he wants to go with this, to be honest with you. He has another 8 seconds, and he's just walking around. He hasn't really cast a spell or anything in a hot while. There we go. Finally. Dragonite is over, and now Leoric is on the move back immediately. I mean, he goes a bit of a stroll. Walking around like a Dragonite is always a bit amazing. Like, you see people on the other side of the road, they're just like dodging you because they're so powerful. So intimidating. So, Leoric just having a good old time here on the map and enjoying the scenery. I mean, it is a beautiful map. It's a beautiful tile set. It's summer, you know. Why wouldn't you go for a stroll? The weather's great. Looking fantastic. You have a big axe. Let's do this. Camps are taken, by the way, as we're talking about let's do this. Artanis is currently anchoring that play here. And so far, it's looking pretty good. The scout comes in. And, of course, they're going to fight for it. That's 3 heroes. 3 versus 4. This one is taken. Blessed Shield comes in. Jet propulsion shortly after. The silence. They go for it. And here comes the Ring of Frost. The stay a while listen. But the shock and awe comes through. Hinterland Blast, baby. Jack Rip with a kill. But he himself survives. Oh my god. Hanzo doesn't get the last hit in. And it's still Diablo dying. The camps were taken. Diablo is dead. The red team is really doing well here. But in experience, both are still on the exact same level if you look at it. 19 versus 19. And, yep, little to do right now. Just try and deep push the lanes because there were way too many camps. Falstad is flying in. And keep in mind, he actually completed his quest and he is starting to wreck Leoric, who was already incredibly low. Leo barely able to get away from this one. But now, looking at the damage output, 58,000 for Falstad. He's doing work in this game. He's getting a lot of damage in. Has a lot of stacks by now too. 42 at this point. So it's just going to increase. And especially with him going into the Nexus Frenzy on level 20 instead of Epic Mount or anything else, he's going to get huge damage numbers out now. So, pretty solid setup by him. Jaina, by the way, going into the Cold Snap. Haven't really seen that in a long, long while, but trying to make that work. Again, when it comes to the damage, one of the things to also point out is that Hanzo is sitting at 58k too. Jaina isn't doing too bad either. But now another Dragonite is up, and that means that we're going to fight over those 2 shrines again. And how is that setup going to work? Especially now that Combustion has been upgraded, now that we're having that additional auto-attack damage from Jack Rip, who's already using that stutter stepping his way outside of those catapult shots. Here comes the damage against Diablo. And with Giant Killer, that's of course where you do your most and your best work if you're a bird. So this is what he's going to try and do. Jaina, I'm still waiting for Cold Snap to get a little bit of value here. But we're still seeing Reyna and Johanna sitting up at the top. I actually think with the entire setup that they're having, with like Hinterland Blast plus also Combustion, it would have been maybe great to go into Hyperion over the Banshee. I think that would have been great because they're already banking onto AoE quite a bit, so that would have increased it. Here comes the Blessed Shield, Condemn comes through, they're trying to go for it, and the Ring of Fail doesn't hit anything, but the Hinterland Blast hits home and it hits hard. Jaina already down, and here comes Falstad once again with the auto attacks, wrecking Leoric, absolutely destroying him, and even thinking to go straight for Hanzo, which didn't quite work out, but the red team is now losing way too many heroes. And again, that ring didn't do anything, unfortunately, for them. It was a huge fight, and they really needed to get a hit in, but they couldn't. Now Diablo's in trouble down here too, as the Dragonite gets claimed in the middle of the map. But in this entire game, that is now nearly 20 minutes old, we haven't seen a keep fall yet. Not a single keep has been destroyed. And they are going to try and change that now. The blue team is moving into the middle and is going to attempt to take this. Keep in mind that Falstad is currently in the Dragonite. But so far, they're trying to burn that down pretty quickly, and they're already having it at 50%. But of course, you still want to get that keep. You want to get something for your efforts. For that objective, Hanzo is back to business and is going to try and burn it down. But it's a little bit unlikely that they're going to be able to save this. Especially since they're now struggling also with Leoric again, trying to move out. And there's the kill against the keep. One down already. Well done so far. And the arrow into Entomb. Stay a while and listen. The ring is hitting this time, but the red team is losing hit points fast. They are in trouble here, and now it might be the end of Leoric. He barely gets away. Jaina blocking the combustion with the ice block. Leoric going for the drain, but the quick punt takes down Jaina. She's dead. And this is an optimistic goal for the core here. I'm not quite sure if that's going to work out for them. Whew, the damage against Reyna. Shimi needs to be careful. So does Diablo, though, but he survives. The Hinterland Blast not dropping him. And Leoric gets away, too. The core is safe, at least for now. Tori is still thinking about trying to get a kill here, but needs to be cautious. And they were already ready to turn it around. And Jack Rip wants to get kills, and he does it. The bird goes ham. The bird goes ham. Screw chicken. And he is definitely putting the numbers in. I mean, look at that damage output on that bad boy. 89,000. If you go in that auto attack build and you don't get punished by your opponent, that's the dream right there. If Leoric gets a good Entomb or a good Buried Alive against him, that would be the immediate end of the bird. But they need the damage behind it, and that means Jaina needs to be back to business. But he is definitely getting the numbers in. 58 stacks already on his season marksman, so you can believe he hits like a truck with that Nexus Frenzy, especially against Diablo with a Giant Killer. And he's going to try and do that again. Keep number 1 is fallen, keep number 2 is being attacked. Where's that Entomb that they need right now? If Leo gets it against the bird, then Jaina can follow up on it, but they need a good Entomb, and they need it soon. Here comes the combustion again. Leoric about to fall. The Ring of Frost comes in. Jaina says, uses Ice Block for no reason whatsoever. And still takes down the bird. Hinterland Blast did not quite come through, but we have 3 heroes down. Hanzo about to come back, but Deckard Cain and Leoric have both fallen. Leo never even used his ult. Jaina was basically forced to do it by herself, but the core is falling right now. The shove comes in, trying to take down Reyna. Jimmy is falling, but so does the core. Jaina first, and that is game, as Fools and Heroes take game number 1. Game number 2 about to start. We had a little bit of a switcheroo here. They switched sides, so blue and red changed. So don't get confused by that. The Fools and Heroes are still in the lead after this first game. And map number 1 is Infernal Shrines. So we've seen a bit of an interesting Falstad play. Like, he definitely wrecked them. But then again, it wasn't really punished whenever he was a bit far out of position. Leoric just refused to use that Entomb. Wasn't really a fan of that. I mean, before he hits level 20, it doesn't really matter too much for Falstad anyways, because you can just barrel away. But obviously, once that you have your level 20 upgrade, that silence alone should allow you to take the bird down within a second. So, that being said, first ban, what are we going to see? Last game we actually saw Tyrande banned out, and we had again the focus onto the tanks. That is pretty common for Division 7 in Heroes launch. And keep in mind, this is actually a league that anybody can play in, no matter what level you are at. So if you're interested, check out heroeslaunch.gg and have a look there. They have a pretty good FAQ, by the way, so most of the questions that people have can be checked out on the website themselves in the FAQ. But Mal'Ganis is banned out again. Doesn't really come as a shocker. Diablo immediately taken apart as well, and that leaves us with heroes like Garrosh, for example, that could be played here. We are on Infernal, so Johanna might be another hero that is going to be used. If a team wants to be a bit more aggressive, we could still see that in Nubarak, for example, with a little bit of dive-in. Now, traditionally, I'm more of a fan when you play that either with Urel or with Blaze, but Urel doesn't really seem to exist in Division 7. At least I've never seen her played or banned. So, we'll see how that's going to work out. Tyrande gets banned again, though. So, Fools and Heroes are looking at their ban pattern from the previous game, said, okay, that worked out well for us. Let's make sure they're not having any big kill potential through Tyrande and move her out. Again, if you're playing on Infernal Shrines, Alexstrasza has, of course, a little bit more value. Whitemane and others, too. And an interesting move from the proper lads. They actually ban out another tank even though they aren't first pick. So they ban out Johanna. That's the 3rd tank to ban out. And that would normally result in a tank being first picked by Fools and Heroes here. This is normally one of those situations where you want to make sure that you have a tank for yourself. And yep, Garrosh is immediately taken. Which leaves us, I would assume, with Muradin for the proper lads. Again, we have a few more options that you could go for, but given what we've seen in the last game and everything, I would say Muradin would be one of the options that is probably the most likely. And yep, there we have him. Muradin taken early on, and what do we get with that? Kalthas is banned out quite often early on in these games, and now that we are on Infernal Shrines and in Division 7, I would assume that Kalthas is going to be picked or banned. But they go for Reyna first of all, and I really don't mind that at all. Reyna is a fantastic hero. You have to be a little bit more careful with your positioning around Garrosh, since he can simply stun you out and throw you into the rest of the team. So that's going to be important. But for me personally, it's still a question how they're going to deal with AoE, and that's when we're talking immediately about Kalthas. Malfurion and Blaze are being picked. I'm liking that already. Malfurion for great control of the choke points with the roots whenever it comes to a battle on the shrine itself. Blaze, of course, pretty amazing on shrine clear on the solo lane. Really, really liking that choice. Combustion probably going to be used again. Bunker is not really Division 7's friend, but still, we get at least some value out of it. Kerrigan gets banned out. Okay, didn't see that coming. Fair enough. Don't think that Kerrigan would have necessarily been the pick here for Fools and Heroes, but they might have played it in the past, unbeknownst to me. So that's definitely an option. What's the ban now for Fools and Heroes, though? Are they worried, for example, about the Kalthas that we actually saw banned in the previous game? Or are they not? What's going to be the idea here for them? Alright, Deckard Cain gets banned away. That's actually a really good one, too. I mean, we talked about Malfurion and his control on the choke points with roots, but the same also goes for Deckard Cain to an extent, so it's definitely another fantastic hero. And especially after 20, when you have the upgrade for your potion, then you can also completely siege up on a shrine and have a super cool setup for your team. But there's Kalthas and Alexstrasza. As we said before, Alexstrasza gets a bit more value on the map here, just simply because it works with the objective, the zone control, and Kalthas as we more or less predicted. So Reyna for the sustainable auto attack damage and Kalthas for the cooldown based mage damage. And that leaves us with the last two picks for Fools and Heroes. They still need their damage output because so far they don't have any. Could see Phoenix, maybe even a Liming, even Chromie, okay, and Gul'dan. Double mage! Alright, who needs auto attacks? We go Chromie Gul'dan here and we just keep firing away. Get Gul'dan into the mix too. And now we're still in need for an offlaner, of course, on the side of the proper lads. And what is going to be that offlaner? I would kind of advise against Leoric. Well, maybe. Actually, a little bit curious to see what they're going to go for here with this setup now. Artanis. Division 7, when in doubt, Artanis is always a good choice. So yeah, they're going to try and go for the swaps here against Chromie. That might not be too bad. I'm curious to see how Muradin and Artanis going to deal with Chromie, because they are the ones that have great tools to deal with her. But we're heading into game number 2, Infernal Shrines, ladies and gentlemen. Our second game between proper lads and Fools and Heroes. Game number 2, everyone, with the proper lads starting to the left. Spotter on Kalthas, Betamax on Alexstrasza. We have Patch on Muradin, Tori on Reyna, and Fabtegumi on Artanis. And over to the right side of the map, the Fools and Heroes with Genji Benji on Blaze, Artorios on Garrosh. We have Jack Rip going straight into the Dragon's Breath build. On Chromie, Rainlight on Malfurion, Oddjob on Gul'dan, as we're having Alexstrasza with the Flames and Fury, so going into the Flame Buffet here. Interestingly enough, also, I want to particularly see how Muradin and Artanis deal with Chromie. Why Chromie? So one of the reasons is that Chromie needs a little bit of a wind-up for a Sandblast, and that allows Muradin to jump onto her and hit the Stormbolt. And it kind of allows also Artanis, if he plays his cards right, to try and get a swap in. So I'm curious to see if they can make that happen. And there's the swap against Chromie already, and she's immediately being attacked here. They're trying to take her down, and she barely survives and gets away here. Also thanks to Malfurion with the heals. Artorios goes in deep on his Garrosh. And again, the attack from Artanis as Blaze is already starting to move all the way up to the top. Perfect Storm taken on level 1 for Muradin, so he's going to try and get his stacks and the extra damage up. Amateur opponent for Artanis, we're going to see him on the camps in this game, trying to get those. And outside of that, Chromie is going to attempt to just fire away from the back line. And Jack Rip has really done well on his Falstad. Maybe he can again do that on his Chromie too. So far not really hitting too much here, but we're having immediately Artanis in the middle trying to get to Betamax on his Alexstrasza and throw her in. But in the process, he's actually eating a lot of damage here. Needs to be really careful. Gets close enough to Khaldor though and nearly gets the kill. Chromie tries to get the last hit in, but that doesn't quite work out either. All of a sudden, Patch is in trouble, and Chromie secures their first blood in the game with a quick sand blood right to the face, right between the eyes. Murden is down, and we have the rest of the team sitting in the middle defending as we have Tori going up against Oddichop down at the bottom of the map. Gul'dan against Reyna is going to be a little bit of a weird setup for Gul'dan here, because he can't really deal with both, with the wave and the hero, as long as Tori stays a bit away. And currently we're having Reyna dominate actually the entire lane, and therefore claiming both of the regeneration globes, which makes it pretty easy for him. He needs to be a little bit careful though, because obviously there can be a rotation, but both of the teams are currently only trying to make sure that they're getting mercenary camps onto the map. The question that we all had before we entered the game was obviously if Khaldor goes for convection. The answer to that, as you probably already saw, is no, he doesn't. He actually goes for a good build. Ooh, talking about good damage coming out against Jack Rip here. Nice throw against Muradin, and Muradin is down again. Yeah, things are starting to be a little bit tricky for him. Muradin down, the Shrine spawning. Up to the top, we're still having Genji Benji against Artanis. Flame Buffet build, by the way, is continued on level 4 for Alexstrasza. And Chromie is fully speccing into the Dragon's Breath here the entire time. Not a single talent that deviates away from that on the first 3. Both of the teams are now on level 5, but Chromie obviously has a level 7 talent already here. And let's see. We're having, for now, the Shrine activating, and this is going to be an Arcane Punisher already. A swap attempt by Artanis, not getting that. Alright, Bullseye not quite being hit by the Dragon's Breath as Artanis is dodging around it. But now the Time Trap also hitting, and Chromie and Malfurion are completely controlling the choke point here. The swap attempt again, Jack Rip dodges it, tries to get the hits in, but there's 15 stacks already for the red team. They're doing really, really well here. Again, the swap and the flip as Garrosh does his thing. Artanis in the middle, Muradin gets a Storm Ball but is nearly dead. They're trying to get the heals, but Chromie delivers again. Hits the Dragon's Breath, bam, down goes Artanis, and they are about to claim that first Punisher. First objective, nearly taken. Everybody are rather low, but they shouldn't really be able to take that away. On the other hand, Garrosh goes down. Good kill. Chromie already completing 3 minutes and 53 seconds in her quest talent on level 1, but it's unlikely that they are going to let that one slide, because Chromie is just trying to get some range damage in, and it's 35 stacks that they have already. Chances are nearly 0 that the red team doesn't get that Punisher if they really want it. And there it is. They claim it, and now the rest of the team really needs to move away from the Punisher, because once the jump gets triggered, you're in trouble. And they're still fighting. Still fighting up to the top. Jump gets triggered. Chromie follows up with a Sand Blast, and Khaldor nearly falls. Nearly gets hit by that Arcane Sentry there. And the big problem, of course, being that the jump got procced before the gate, so now they're going to get even more damage in. Normally, you want to go behind the gate as fast as you can, bait it over, and you can see what kind of problem they're facing right now. The wall is nearly fully destroyed. That Punisher is doing immense amount of damage and work. And even though there's only 3 heroes pushing while 2 are holding the off lanes, this is a huge amount of damage through the Punisher. They're actually taking basically the entire wall. They're getting the damage in here as well. Good flip against Garrosh, but he wanted Malfurion, so he's not quite hitting the target that he wanted. And in the meantime, Garrosh is taking the bot lane. Blaze is pushing out at the top, so that's more experience lost. It was a fantastic attack by the red team that got obviously made worse by the Punisher jump being procced before the gate was reached. So with that being said, we actually have Artanis with a Chrono Surge on level 7. So he gets actually a bit of an attack speed bonus here too. Not quite sure that was really the talent to go for here. Also seems to believe a lot in his abilities to get that extra damage out there. With Chromie's poking, by the way, I think Muradin regrets now that he didn't take third wind on level 1 and went into the perfect storm instead, because he's eating a lot of poke, and that would have been enabling him to just like mitigate a lot of the damage. Doesn't really do the trick right now. That being said, we have also for Chromie her level 10 now, and you might have seen it earlier already. The Temporal Loop has been chosen here, and she is going to try and get that against the backline in particular. Reyna trying to get the experience at the top lane. We have 3 kills against 1, and Fools and Heroes are already in the lead in the series, so if they are able to win it here on Infernal Shrines, then that series is completely taken by the red team, and they take that with a 2-0. But at least for the time being, the blue team is still in the mix. This, on the other hand, is a problem. Yep, Chrono, Temporal Loop, and then the immediate roots on the ground. Great combo. Even a silence with a Twilight Dream coming out. The taunt comes in as well. But there's no sustainable damage. There's only Chromie. So that's 2 heroic abilities that just got sacrificed. And it just didn't work out because Muradin just could simply jump away from it. That's the problem when you're playing with only cooldown-based damage abilities and you don't have an auto-attacker to get that damage in reliably. So a bit of an issue. I really like the combo between Chromie and Malfurion though. The Temporal Loop into the root was well executed, and that helped them to get the initial kill here against Kel'Thas. Artanis just doesn't get the swaps here. But yeah, they're still waiting for the level 10 abilities. This is the big problem that the blue team is facing right now. The lads are without heroic abilities, and without those you don't really want to fight these battles. But they're close. They're very close, and there we have it. Heroic abilities are finally in, and that gives us Muradin with the Avatar. Do we see that Pyro Blast? Bit of a fight happening here already. Yeah, Kel'Thas gets away barely. So far, no choice made by Kel'Thas or Artanis. But you could definitely go for the Pyro Blast here. And then the question is, Purifying Beam to just piss Chromie off a little bit. Or what are they going to do here? Tori, first of all, is falling up at the top. And we see Phoenix. AoE damage is coming in. Phoenix is being played. Artanis is not making a choice yet, but he could definitely annoy Chromie here. And in the meantime, the top shrine is about to activate, and still Reyna down for another 10, so they need to be a bit careful around that. No camps taken, by the way, as the objective spawns, so nothing set up with that. It's a topside spawn, anyways, and here's the Purifying Beam. And I really want to see that on Chromie. Chromie or Gul'dan would be great recipients for that ult. Jimmy is back, and Jimmy's on the way. Together with the Phoenix, I again have to say I would have really loved them to go into Hyperion. Also, nearly a kill against Artorias. He might actually fall, and indeed he does, but there's a kill against it too. Horrify came through, and now we're having Patch about to fall. Gets murdered by Chromie here. Artanis also dead, never even used his ult. This is really one of those moments when you die, you really want to at least use the Purifying Beam to help your teammates out win that team fight maybe. But they're still attempting to get a few minions on here. It's a 4 versus 3 though, and Reyna actually has no fear whatsoever. He walks in deep, and he's not the only one. Kel'Thas is fearless too, and he pays the price and dies. Now that's definitely a bit of an issue. If the 3 of them would have survived, then now we would look at a 5 versus 5 again, since the rest has respawned. But very likely the proper lads will have to give this one up again, especially since level 13 is in. Tim would be proud to see Bye-Bye being played by Chromie. Now there are interrupts, there are several actually, so the question is going to be how much value is Chromie going to get out of it. But for now they're going to look at another Punisher here. And this is going to be the defense that you have to set up. Moving in at this point doesn't really do a whole lot for you, so just moving back and trying to play this safe might be the better play here. Artanis could actually have tried to swap the push here. If they already expected that someone would sit there, they could have done that. Phoenix comes out. Who baits the stun? Alright, it's Muradin. Muradin baits the first one out, and they're starting to get the damage in. But here comes again Chromie with the hits, one after another. 5 versus 5 at the top lane with the Punisher right in the middle of things, where we see Chromie looking for Temporal Loop. Follow up by Malfurion, always possible. Again, no swap by Artanis. They're baiting that Punisher back in, but the fort itself is falling. Punisher is getting really low though. Amateur opponent is helping with that, and Artanis is way too far out. Temporal Loop is being hit. Artanis dashes in, dashes out, gets away for a moment, but then finally taken out. And another potential kill. The counter kill from Reyna against Malfurion, but as you can see, Muradin is not that lucky. He gets hit by the Horrify, gets flipped over, and is down for the count immediately. Brutal beating that the blue team currently takes. 10 kills against 3 for the time being. But a turnaround always possible here, especially of course with Muradin getting a lot more sustain on his level 13 with a healing static. And also level 13 talents would really help to make it an even fight. If they can get a kill against Chromie, that would be fantastic, but right now Chromie is just running the numbers game here. 50,000 damage by Chromie. and Jack Rip is already moving in with another couple of hits. They're invading the camp here, and they're going to take this quite easily. Easy pick by them. And Artanis hasn't really done too much. If you look at Artanis' damage, he's sitting at 5,000 damage. It's absolutely nothing. He has the least amount of damage in the game. He has less than Alexstrasza. So that hero choice hasn't really done a whole lot for them just yet. There weren't too many good swaps either that would have really helped them there. Another offlaner might have been a little bit better for them. But at this point in time, it's more of a liability in the team fights than anything else. Another fort falls. That's fort number 2. So 2 lanes are now going to spawn catapults. But at least the level 13 talent is ready for them. They're going to try and force a couple of battles, but they haven't really succeeded in doing so just yet. It's still a 5-man move that we're seeing from the blue team. They're moving as 5. They're trying to find kills somewhere. And again, Muradin, when he sees that animation starting up, he can jump in and try and hit that Stormbolt. It's one of the plays that you've seen probably in HGC, so on the highest level of play, when Chromies were absolutely brutalized by Muradins and others. Talking about being brutalized, here's the Temporal Loop, Horrify being used as well, Kalthas down already, Twilight Dream also executed, and Muradin attempting to jump out as they were attempting to make the go for the backline. But now 3 are down, both of the frontliners are gone. Muradin and Artanis both hammered into the ground, and Kalthas has fallen right at the start. The red team is just absolutely dominating game number 2 at this point in time. Especially with Tori on his Reyna already sitting in at the middle. Things are not really looking all that pretty for the proper lads. Not at all. And again, both of the teams are very, very close in the Division 7 ranking. But you can definitely tell that, at least for now, the show is run by the Fools and Heroes. There's a lot more Heroes on their team than Fools, at least in this game. So they're doing well here. And that double mage setup has actually worked out. And with this Shrine activating, the level 16 talent giving them an additional lead, and of course the stat advantage that they gained through the 2 levels that they are ahead, is a very likely Punisher for them. The problem is that that Punisher would home in onto the bottom keep. And so the question remains, do they fight for it or do they try to get level 16 and defend with 16? And for now it looks like they are going to be willing to delay, get level 16 and then defend on even talents instead of trying to go into a bit of a hopeless battle. And as I say, they're starting to shift that a little bit with Reyna moving back down, but then he hesitates for a second and goes back to the top lane instead. So we're not going to see too much here. Garrosh anchoring the play, just waiting to see if someone moves in. Could, by the way, go into a mount. You don't have to sit here. Like, there's no downside in, like, being on a mount at this point in time, if you see that. So, he's currently already sitting there, just waiting to see if someone makes that move in. But they're just trying to defend the bot lane maybe a little bit. We're looking for a swap. Shouldn't really fight here. Reyna isn't with them. There's no reason to stay here, really. If you want to push that wave out, you can, but you shouldn't go in too deep. You need level 16 first, and the wave would probably have done that already. And if they take that now, they should be fine. So Jimmy is on his way back. Not quite sure where he's... Could actually just Hearthstone back, to be honest, but apparently he's just like gonna walk all the way down to the bot lane. Need to bait it over. And yep, there we have it. Gets baited over, 16 in their hands. Alright, time to defend. See if they can maybe force a fight and win it. If they can start a comeback. If they lose the keep right now, then things are just going to go more into the direction of their opponent. Here comes the setup. Twilight Dream, Taunt, Combustion, everything thrown onto Artanis, and they get the kill. Muradin jumps out, but Temporal Loop brings him back into the action, and that's 2 down. Both of the frontliners have fallen. Artanis again not using his ult here. Was just too surprised, was taunted as well, and then also the silence, of course, came through on the other side. Not even using the Horrify, but at this point it just looks grim. And as you can see, Artanis has not... I mean, he has more damage than Alexstrasza now, so that's something. Kalthas is also falling, and Chromie is just wrecking them. Look at the damage output that Gul'dan has, 18,000. That is just barely more than Malfurion, but Chromie with 69k makes more than up for it. She's doubling the numbers that Kalthas brings to the table at this point. So Jack Rip with a great performance in game number 1 on his Falstad already. And now we're seeing a very similar setup in game number 2 for them as well. We have level 19 versus 16, 16 kills versus 3. And it's really just a problem for the blue team that they can't find a proper engage. If they can make a good move happen on a target and isolate it, it would be great. But even just using heroic abilities would be fantastic at this point. A bit of an adjustment on 16, by the way, for Reyna too, going into the Bounty Hunter. Not quite sure if that's really needed. Like, normally you really want to go into the penetrating round on level 16 to first of all have the additional utility and also get the heals. Again, the hits against Mirrodin. Here comes the second setup with the... they have a really good chance. Stormbolt and the kill against Malfurion. Not quite over just yet. They could try and go in again. Mirrodin was actually hesitating a little bit, and they get a third kill, aren't they? They get the third kill, take 3 down. Chromie is back. Chromie didn't get killed. Did she actually use bye-bye to get out of this? Yeah, it seems like it. Well done. Able to get that. Alright, fair enough. So they get the damage in. Nearly level 20 now for the team, but a little bit of a comeback into this game for them for now. Tori currently just sitting there and gonna double check how much he can depush the bot lane while his team is fighting. And I'm not quite sure if he really needed to be there, but the team is still trying to steal a camp away and is currently on that job. The level 20 talent, on the other hand, is now coming into play. Chromie apparently with a bye-bye value here, but still 2 levels behind. Ooh, Phoenix even committed to that. Alright, zoning them out a bit. I mean, it's a 5 versus 3. I don't really think you needed the Phoenix there to take that wall, but they committed to it anyways. And now it's going to miss for the first few seconds of that Shrine fight. Gonna see how that works. Khaldor sitting at 32 stacks. Mirrodin, by the way, never really completed his quest talent, so can't even get the double stun through with the Pierce. Is sitting on 19 right now, which already tells you quite a bit. Also, Gul'dan is himself still struggling to get the Echoed Corruption completed. We're talking 17 minutes into the game here. But the damage output, as we said before, is still pretty solid for Chromie in particular. She makes up for most of what we're seeing here right now. But now with that Shrine fight happening, the question is, you have to go for it. Like, you can't really let them get a Punisher 18 minutes into the game with 1 keep already down. Here's finally the Artanis ult, zoning Chromie out a little bit. That already works. They're trying to go for Garrosh. Nah, don't stack here. Hits coming through, jet propulsion comes in, here comes the combustion, Phoenix is in play again, Khaldor is being followed, but the rest of the team is still fighting. The damage massive against Reyna, but he survives at least for now. We're having the ult of Alexstrasza coming through, getting the damage and the heals out, still the flip in, everybody low, but Artanis is about to fall. Another great hit coming through on the other hand from Khaldor. He drops Garrosh, and now 2 of the tanks are gone, and the blue team, without the level 20 talent, is actually able to get back onto the Shrine. They're looking good here. Tori gets some damage in, dodges the shots, and the rest of the team is busy on the Shrine itself trying to get this. This is actually fantastic from their perspective. They're doing really well without a storm talent even. They have to send someone back though, because we're seeing 1, 2, 3 catapults starting to move in onto the core itself, and that's going to be a massive problem. So they won't be able to push a lot with this. They need to move back. They need to be really careful now. Reyna goes back, the rest of the team is trying to poke a little bit. They will at least get a fort here, and let's not forget that up to the top lane we have another camp pushing through too. Reyna can start to make his way back into the middle, but they're currently just trying to see if they can at least get some catapults onto this. The damage comes out, damage is already being done by the Punisher himself, but here comes the Phoenix. Khaldor needs to be careful, but at the same time Chromie gets attacked, and Patch is doing exactly what he needs to. Here comes the bye-bye, and Chromie is out. Can't really damage anyone anymore here. Negating there for the Artanis ult, at least for the time being, but they get the fort. The fort is down, and now just move back. Staying here is really a mistake, guys. You can't accomplish anything here anymore. You're not going to do anything here any longer. There comes the silence, and they need to back off. Chromie actually moved a little bit to the top, trying to save the fort here, and is probably not going to be able to do that. The fort already gets some damage, but now that Gul'dan and Chromie both come in, they might just be able to save it, and yes, it looks very much like it. This is another one up for grabs, though. And now that we're having the blue team all of a sudden back to business, they are about to hit level 20, and that is going to change things a little bit. The stone form already made it so much easier for Mirrodin to survive, and now he has a rewind. That means double Thunderclap, double healing static. We have the Zealot charge here. Not really sure if that was necessarily the talent that he needed here on level 20, but at the same time though, it's going to help him to get a bit more aggressive and get the damage out, so it's not too horrible. On Ruby Wings also being used right now, so that's going to be fantastic for Alexstrasza to keep them in play a little bit longer. The Flamethrower is going to keep Khaldor farther in the back, which is great for him, so he doesn't get flipped anymore by Garrosh. They're back to business! They are actually back to business at this point in time. And as long as they keep using the Purifying Beam on Chromie and forcing her to bye-bye, they can actually fight the fight in 5 versus 4 for a limited amount of time. And Chromie's damage was so far the biggest problem. So I don't really think that they mind too much that he just bye-byes out of the fight. If you look at the damage discrepancy between the heroes, the 91,000 that we're seeing on Chromie is really the issue. So if you can remove her for a limited amount of time from the fight, you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to do a lot more work here. And with the level 20, we're now nearly seeing even fights. I mean, the levels alone still give them a bit of a stat advantage, but outside of that, it's going to be okay. Still not enough stacks for Muradin, by the way. Also, Gul'dan is still missing some, and everybody is just playing it safe right now. We have a couple of traps that are being set on the map where teams are currently trying to set something up here. Someone showing bot lane. They're trying to hope that someone crosses from the middle into the top and then through the fog so that they can go for a quick snipe. But pushing the bot lane isn't really doing too much for the red team. It's not really doing anything for them here, to be absolutely honest with you. They can't really do a whole lot, so they are already moving away from that. There's another trap being set right here. Question is, can they get Chromie? If they get Chromie here, that would be the absolute dream. And they're not making a move. They're actually not making a move. Alright. Reina's Raiders is checking this out. A little bit weird to see that they're not going to try and jump on Chromie. Oh, nice dodge by Jack Rip, but that was a close call. And now the next shrine is being announced. Bot lane is still an issue. That catapult never was despawned, and there's another catapult already on the way. So I think someone should have not gone for the camp and moved down instead. But apparently they're going to try and fight the fight regardless. Now that is going to be a little bit tricky. But I guess at this point you have to. You have to commit to the battle and try and win it. If you take some core damage, then that's just an unfortunate thing. But yep, that core is going to receive some damage, but it shouldn't really do too much. Eventually the minion should actually take that out. But again, over here, Phoenix already being used. Muradin is in, hits the Storm Ball. Gravity Lapse comes in. Temporal Loop on Kalthas, even with his ult. Combustion comes in, silence, and everything is going to shit for the blue team. Down go Kalthas and Artanis. Yes, the Purifier Beam is going to do some damage, but they just all stacked up, and then Combustion, Chromie damage, silence. Everything came in at one single point. The taunt as well. You cannot stack up in a death zone against these ult. Not against Combustion, against the taunt, against Chromie's AoE damage. That is just not going to work out for you. If anything, I'm amazed only 2 heroes died and not everyone. So 2 down, and that's a massive, massive issue right now. They can't fight for it anymore. This is the moment when you just need to back off. You can't really just stay here. You back off and you try to buy some time for the remaining heroes to revive and then somehow save the core. Because that keep, that's a goner. That's an absolute goner. So, unfortunate situation for the blue team, but not lost just yet. But they really need to win a big fight at some point, and they need to stop stacking. They stack way too hard. This is likely going to be game, but they have a chance to defend because now Kalthas and Artanis are both back, can try and bait it. Again, he's too far out and gets immediately attacked. Kalthas in trouble, gets sucked in again, able to move away from the fight, but the Dragon Queen is already popped and they're trying to somehow fight here. Artanis is on Chromie, trying to force her to bye-bye, but the Horrify comes through and that is the end of Artanis. And that might be the end of the game. The Punisher is still fighting, still baited by Reyna. In comes Kalthas, but the red team actually chasing Muradin for a little bit too long, wasting some time here. And now instead of going for the core, they're moving into the middle to drop the last remaining keep in the game on the side of the blue team. And they're likely to get this one. But also, we're having a huge amount of damage put onto Garrosh in particular. So again, everybody just moving out here. Chromie firing away. Stormbolt misses, unfortunately, for them. Could have tried to follow up here. 91% on the core, and all structures are lost. But they're still in the game. They're still holding out for a little bit longer. 24,000 damage by Artanis. Garrosh has 26k at sorry, 16,000k at this point. 20 kills against 6. They got a couple of kills earlier and 1 engage. If they can do that again, they might be able to push something back. But of course, right now, their hopes are just dwindling away. The problem still being that they're just simply stacking way too hard. And that is an issue that they had in most of these fights. Audidrop seems to have a bit of an issue here. But as we're talking about that, the big problem still being, if you go and you stack up against anything, you stack up over here in the section, for example, when they're trying to push, or in any of these bushes, if you're trying to stack at the side as they did when they were entering the area a little bit earlier, then you're in trouble. Because what's going to happen is that Blaze is jumping in with the jet propulsion, is going to try and hit the combustion, and then once you're slowed down by that, Gul'dan first of all can fire away with the corruption, Chromie can get a really good hit in, and on top of that you have a taunt that keeps you in place from Gul'dan as well. They're going in again, but the jet propulsion is actually missed. The flip against Alex Strada, so she can use her ult, is silenced, can't. Reyna is already down, but the red team is also losing heroes. No ult on Alex, she was still on cooldown, couldn't use it. They get flanked quite easily, and that's 2 important heroes gone. Nearly a turnaround attempt here, but yep, flanked way too easily. So let's see how exactly that's going to work out for them right now. Here comes the move. Quest completed from Meridian, congratulations. 26 minutes into the game. They're still trying to defend here. Catapults are homing in. They might get the kill against Garrosh actually if they continue that way. But the Horrify is in. Artanis is down. Kel'Thur's about to fall. And this is gonna be the end. Meridian, the only lone survivor. And also he's biting the dust here as Gul'dan completes his quest. Congratulations, my friend. Happy anniversary. Down goes the core. And that's the 2-0 victory as the Fools and Heroes take down the proper lads.